Welcome to Wellywood Wargaming, where the grimdark never sleeps. Crack open a bottle of wild snake and spark up a low stick as we take a journey down underhive.
Howdy Hive Scum, today we're talking about the massive shift that's happening in wargaming. Big armies are out of fashion and tight, narrative-driven, skirmish-sized games, they are absolutely in. In 2025, it's clearer than ever the future of wargaming belongs to skirmish tabletop systems. So let's break down why that is and how we got here and where it's all going. Of course, skirmish games are not new. In fact, they've always been part of Games Workshop's DNA. Think back to the early 90s. While Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40k were definitely the big players, you had games like Necromunda, Mordheim and Blood Bowl offering something different. Smaller model count, intense personal storytelling and rich narrative-driven campaign play. These were side games for many, but for others like myself, they were the main event. Over time, they cultivated a different kind of player, someone more interested in stories than strategies, characters over codices. And in 2025, that type of player is becoming the majority. Okay, so let's be blunt. Big army games are a massive commitment, not just in time and energy, but especially in money. The cost of living has skyrocketed globally. Hobbies that once felt expensive now feel borderline unfeasible. A single 2,000 point army for a major system can set you back hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. When you factor in the models, books, dice, measuring tools, terrain, and that's before you get to paint, the hobby tools, and of course storage and transportation. For new players, the barrier to entry is a little overwhelming. For veterans, burnout is real. Most people just want to get their minis on the table, tell some stories, and maybe finish a campaign with their mates before interest fizzles out. In short, the traditional model of buy 2,000 points and learn 300 pages of rules really just doesn't make sense to the average hobbyist anymore, especially for the younger players with decreasing attention spans. So what makes skirmish games work? Well, there are fewer models, meaning faster painting and higher model investment. Every mini matters. Faster games, typically 45 to 90 minutes tops. Narrative depth. Small groups of fighters allow for nameable characters, recurring rivalries, persistent injuries, and growth arcs. Then of course we have a lower cost of entry. $60 starter boxes and a handful of terrain can be a full game experience. Also portability. You can play in a pub, a cafe, a cramped hobby den. You don't need masses of space and resources. Skirmish games also tend to have tighter rules and clearer objectives, reducing the need for endless errata, FAQs, and data slate drama. And most importantly, they feel personal. You're not commanding an army, you're telling the story of a gang, a crew, or a warband. While it's always been here, the skirmish wave has now become a tsunami, and the range of systems has truly exploded. From Games Workshop, we have Kill Team, fast-paced, tightly designed and balanced with strong Games Workshop support and beautiful miniatures. Necromunda, of course, the campaign king. Nothing else delivers this much grit and growth, and the setting is just incredible. We have Warcry, fantasy action that's easy to pick up and play in a beer and pretzel style with your mates. You can have several games at an evening. Outside of Games Workshop though, we have things like Stargrave or Frostgrave, narrative-heavy indie gems with insane customization. We've got 5 Parsecs from Home, the definitive solo RPG skirmish hybrid. Turnip 28, a bizarre, beautiful narrative sandbox with a cult-like following, and of course, one-page rules. Rules light, community-driven, and totally modular, and made for much broader use within any setting. And then there's the breakout hit of the decade. Trench Crusade came out swinging, and it's completely changed the conversation. This skirmish horror fantasy set in a nightmarish alternate World War I has taken the hobby community by storm. But why? Well, it has a fully lore-driven approach. The rules are inseparable from the setting. It's modular and hackable, but narratively cohesive. It is dripping with grim, dark horror, religious surrealism, and character. The models are brutal, unique, and inspiring kit bashes by the dozen. Trench Crusade truly embraces the ethos of community-led content and third-party creativity. All of this proves that you don't need a multi-army ecosystem or constant codex cycles to create a compelling, living world. What you need is vision, player agency, and a strong narrative hook. Trench Crusade is leading a renaissance in DIY style, rules light, lore heavy skirmish systems, and players are gobbling it up. Because the modern player is frankly tired of grinding through massive projects, they are drawn to narrative experiences and character-driven gameplay. They are influenced by content creators, social media, and community sharing. And we are living in a world with less time, more distractions, and tighter budgets. But also, for most people, the cost of living crisis has made hobby spending a major decision. 3D printing has revolutionized access to models. Cheap STLs mean affordable, customizable miniatures that fit any theme or setting. And community-created content is more accessible and higher quality than ever before. Painting just 5 amazing miniatures in a warband and telling a rich story with them is far more satisfying than churning through squads and squads of line troops in a game that you might only play every 2 months. It's not just a better way to game, it's a better way to hobby. Games like Trench Crusade are not a fad. This truly is the future of wargaming. You can certainly expect more hybrid skirmish RPGs, fully solo co-op campaign systems, indie and creator-owned systems built around lore, not licenses, digital integration for campaign tracking, story generation and online play, STL first model releases, and Patreon-based ecosystems. Games Workshop is already leaning into this with more Kill Team and Necromunda fleshing out, terrain packs and narrative expansions. Indie designers are blowing up on Patreon, and the lines between board games, war games and RPGs are truly starting to blur. The big army war games certainly aren't dead, but the skirmish game is thriving, and in 2025 it's clear that smaller is better. Anyway, what do you think? Have you left the big games behind? Are you deep in the Trench Crusade or dreaming of your next Necromunda gang? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe. It truly does make a world of difference. Until next time, over and out.